So we say, friends, take this card, put it in your wallet, put it in your jacket, put it in your purse, keep it with you. It's going to guide you to change the culture of your church. And folks, if you're interested in this, you can go on the website of the North Texas Conference, and there's a link, and you can order these at cost for your church if you want to teach this on a Sunday morning. So I'm going to come down and do a little teaching because Romans 12:13 says this, practice hospitality. Now, the reason we want to practice hospitality is to get us ready for being what God wants us to be. And the reason it's so important is, as Paul said about Gaius, his friend, he said, you know, when they visited this church, here's what they remembered. And I can tell you it's the same. You just need to understand this, pastors. When an unchurched person comes to your church for the first time, they are not going to remember your sermon. They are not going to be wowed by the music. They hear great sermons and talks on iPod all the time. They can pick up great music anytime. What they will remember is the quality of hospitality. It's the single most important thing you can do, and you can change it easily. So we want to practice our hospitality. Now, here's what that 5-10 link rule refers to. First of all, 5 refers to time. What it says is you get the whole church. Now, this is a parenthesis. This is for free, pastors. If you want to create a culture of life-changing hospitality in your church, you can't get the hospitality team together on Wednesday night or a Saturday morning for a seminar. You're wasting your time. This has to be taught from the pulpit if it's that important. And it needs to be taught every year so it becomes ingrained in the culture. Now, the 5 refers to time. You get the whole church to say, for the last 5 minutes before the service begins, and for the first 5 minutes after it ends, we will covenant to find somebody that we do not know, and we will make a connection. You see, it's grand for people to come and huddle up in their friendship groups. That's what church and fellowship's all about. But if we aren't intentional, that's all it will be about. And the guest goes unnoticed. So we want to say, make it a pledge. 5 minutes before the service starts, 5 minutes after it ends, you'll break from the people you know and you'll find somebody that you do not know. Got it? The 10 has to do with space. Now that says if 2 or 3 of you are huddled together and having a good time, like people do at church, but you see somebody by themselves walking within 10 feet of you that you automatically break, you go over and you grab that person and you make a connection. That's the 10 is the space. Got it? The link is just that. The link means that you will physically link people together with common affinities. So, for instance, if I'm here talking and I find out this gentleman over here, Jeffrey, come on up here if you would. If I find out Jeffrey is a pilot for Southwest Airlines, I want to link him physically. I want to take him by the elbow, and I want to physically link him. Oh, here's another person who's a pilot for Southwest Airlines that I know, okay? Or, hey, look, you know where he lives? Over his backyard, sometimes Southwest flies. And so, you can do any affinity, any affinity. The idea is movement, and actually taking people by the elbow. You know why this is so important? Is, as people are now learning, the new E word is not evangelism, it's elbow. And the way we get people into our churches are when you as friends know your friends and you by the elbow bring them, but you will not do it unless you practice it until it becomes natural. That's why we're practicing hospitality here in the life of our church. Okay? Now, this dawned on me several years ago. You know why people, is this not true? No church wants to be unfriendly, right? No church wants to be cold. No church wants to be inhospitable. It's just we've forgotten how. And what I've learned about this generation, meaning mine, and most of you folks here, is nobody really ever taught us manners. So I just want to teach you some basic manners of hospitality. Nothing of this is original. It's right out of Emily Post. But I think you'll find it incredibly helpful. The reason people don't make connections, start conversations, isn't because we don't want to be friendly. It's just we don't know how. We're awkward. And here's what it is. The reason we don't is that thing, names. We can't remember names. Am I telling the truth? So look, friends, here I want to, on behalf of Jesus Christ, I want you to have absolute permission to not remember names. There is no sin in forgetting somebody's name, even somebody that you know close, like my wife. I can tell you, most of us live most of our lives so hectic, so hurried, that our brains are fried most of the time. And we just can't remember names. There's no sin in it. The sin is this. The sin is if we allow not remembering a name to give us an excuse for not making a connection. If the United Methodist Church has one cultural word, it is this. We are a connectional church. And yet people go to our churches all the time and they never feel connected. This is all about making connections, because you never know if that person who's walking through the door of your church for the first time, if you, in the pew, dear friend, may not be the bridge over which they walk to be introduced to the light of Jesus Christ. This is serious stuff. I don't want to waste your time about being warm and friendly. You, dear friends, are an evangelist, and you are reaching out to that person who's right here. And until we get that down, we will never feel comfortable reaching out to the person outside the church. Am I making sense? Why we're going to practice hospitality. So let me just show you how we would do that. Now, there are several levels of names, of remembering names. The first level is the simple one. So, right, I'm just going to come and I'm going to say, hi, I'm Jim.
Hi, I'm Sean.
Now, I don't know if you heard, do I have a microphone up here, guys, to use? Can somebody grab me a mic? So, now, I said, hi, I'm Jim, and he answered back, hi, I'm Sean. Now, you know what he said then is, hey, I want to play ball. I'll have a conversation. Now, if I'd have said, hi, I'm Jim, and he just said, hey, glad to meet you, you know what he's saying? I don't want to play ball. And, dear friends, we want to honor our guest space. We don't want to pester people or pound them. So the first way is just to simply meet somebody, say, hey, I'm Jim. John, he says, I want to play ball, so that gives me permission to start a conversation and make a connection. All right? Just try it. Just turn to somebody real quick and just say, hey, I'm just introduce yourself. Can you get water? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, kids. So, look, that's the first way, right? That's the first way. You just introduce yourself. You just give your name. Now, that should be happening in every church all the time. And you have your antennas up. You don't invade somebody's space if they don't want to be playing ball with you. Now, here's the second thing. You know, does this happen to you? I mean, you've been going to church. You've been in the same Sunday school, but the other person sits over there. You recognize their face. As a matter of fact, you know you've met them, but you can't remember their name. So what happens is instead of making connection, we just avoid that person. Or I can tell you, we'll do what we're going to have happening here all week, those kind of fake conversations where we'll be talking like, I know you and I know you know me, but I don't know your name, you don't know my name, right? Am I telling the truth? And you'll just have these, and you'll be going, what's the name tag there, you know? But in your church, people don't have the name tag. So what happens is we don't connect because we don't know a name. Never let that happen. So if you can't remember somebody's name, you know you've met it. I can promise you this. I teach this to hundreds and thousands of people in churches and districts and annual conferences. I can just tell you this always happens. It will never offend somebody to simply say, help me with your name. Just help me with it. You never have to say, are you new here? Or anything like that. You don't have to say, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. And here's why. Friends, everybody loves to help. And isn't that another cultural word of United Methodism? We help people. So you want to measure the activity in the life of your church by how people are just saying, hey, help me with the name. And he'll tell me. Okay? So those two important words. Then it gets a little more complicated. So let me get a couple of volunteers here, if I might. Would you mind?
No.
And would you mind, Jeff? And would you mind? So, okay, here, thank you. Come on up here. I just want to practice this hospitality. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing. The two of you scoot over here. Can everybody see pretty good? All right, this is typical Sunday morning scenario. The two of you are talking, yin-yang. You're yin-yanging. Okay? Then it's 5 minutes before the service is to begin. So you look at your watch. Oh, you say to yourself, 5-10 link rule, and you see this guy over here. So, Jeff, if you would, you come over and you make a connection. Just.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey. Jeff, Bill.
So, okay, make the connection, right? So what Jeff wants to do, though, is to really make the connection. So he wants to bring Bill over to meet his other friend that he's talking to. Okay, so take him over there. But here's what happens. In the 10 seconds it takes to get him over there, Jeff forgets Bill's name. Am I telling the truth? Don't let that stop you from making that connection. So here's all you do. If you can't remember one person's name, but you know the other person's name, Marta, okay, you just look the person right in the eye whose name you do not know, motion to this person and say, have you met Marta? Just try it.
Have you met Marta? No, I'm Bill.
Very nice.
That's what happened 9 times out of 10. Okay, now don't sit down. We still need you. Okay, you're over here. All right, you stay over here. Marty, you come over here this time. We like to mix things up here. So that's the 5 of the 5-10 link rule. Okay? Now y'all are yin-yanging, your buddies are talking. And then they see walking within 10 feet of them this poor, dejected, wayfaring stranger. So you say, you see this out the corner of your eye, Jeff, you say, 5-10 link rule, you go get her, you introduce yourself.
Hi, Martha. I'm Jeffrey.
Hi, nice to meet you, Jeff.
Okay? So he's going to bring it back to make the connection. Now, in the 15 seconds it takes to come back, he forgets both their names. Does this happen to you? Am I telling the truth? Sure. So instead of failing to make the connection, here's what you do, Jeff. It's so simple. Just say, have you two met?
Oh, have you two met? No, I'm Bill.
9 times out of 10. Thank you. Give them a hand. They did a great job. You see, friends, we want to practice hospitality and practice our culture, connection, helping. We want to ingrain it in our congregation. And the reason we practice hospitality isn't so that we'll be friendlier than the local Rotary Club. We practice to get ready for the big game, introducing a darkened world to the light of Jesus Christ.